Joe Tilley here at the Vidanta Golf Course in beautiful Nuevo Vallarta, Mexico, site of the Mexican Open PGA Tour event. Today, we look at the second part of our series on golfers and athletes of all types and abilities, of course, how to handle the wear and tear on their body and how to stay at the top of their game. Today, we sat down with Steve Anderson, founder of Renue Medical Center, right here in Mexico, where they're helping people to experience miraculous recoveries. Our guest today hails from Kansas City, a seasoned private equity executive, MHC capital partner, and board member of public and private companies, recognized thought leader and frequent speaker of industry conferences, a proven track record in helping companies maximize growth, co-founder of Renue, a private clinic specializing in stem cell therapy and exosome treatments. He has helped several athletes extend and enhance their careers, and he's helping to elevate your quality of life. So how did you get your start in business?
Oh, well, I tell people I never really had a real job. From the beginning, I've been very entrepreneurial in terms of my thought about the world and really started in the money business, was involved in the investment management business for, my gosh, almost my whole career, ended up running a public company in the US and then transitioned to private equity when I retired from the public company.
And then how did you transition into the medical side?
In healthcare, yeah. Well, about 12 years ago, I got diagnosed with a really awful degenerative disease that kind of found its way to the lumbar area of my back. And all the experts in the US thought that it was inevitable that I would be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of my existence. So, of course, that wasn't a palatable option for me. And so I kind of went on a little bit of a journey trying to identify someone who could help me to try to combat this awful degenerative disease. And I found a physician in Beverly Hills, California, that was in a FDA approved stem cell trial. And so through my concierge physician in Phoenix, I got into the trial, and it changed everything for me. And it was really inferior technology to what we do today, dramatically inferior technology. And I was in the recovery room, and Dr. Regan came in, and we were having a discussion, and he just kind of an offhanded remark said, "Hey, I wish we would have done this in my office in Dubai." And I said, "Well, besides the shopping and the beach, why Dubai? What are we talking about?" And he said, "Well, we could have used allogenic cells." And I said, "Allogenic, what do you mean?" He said, "We could have used donor cells because your cells are your age." And even though I got a fabulous outcome, that was almost 10 years ago. I'm 57 now. So I was 47. I got a really good outcome from my own, and I haven't had a treatment since, by the way. And obviously I'm not confined to a wheelchair, and I run and play pickleball and work out and do all that sort of thing, play golf. And so that really got me started on this kind of thought around, because back then, remember that I thought that healthcare kind of, the sun rose, was high in the sky in the US and Canada and set, and there was nobody else outside the US and Canada knew anything about healthcare. And that's just turned out to be just patently false. And so it led me on a journey to try to understand why some of these technologies weren't available in the US and Canada. And that's kind of how I got here, is that I started to talk to some of luckily, based on my career, I was able to have contacts with lots of people. And I was able to get in front of some of the, top 10 or so people in the world around regenerative medicine and more aptly around the idea of longevity. And that's how it all started. And then I woke up in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, some of my peers and some of the people I do business with have unlimited resources and are not living their best lives. And so how do I change that?" And so one night, 7 years ago, in the middle of the night, I decided to build a world-class facility somewhere outside the US and Canada where we could avail ourselves of all the great technology that was available and not be confined by this kind of draconian and political regulatory environment.
Now, what is it about this technology that they're not willing to accept in Canada and the US?
Yeah, it's really confusing when you understand their position, which generally the regulatory bodies in the US and Canada's position surrounds this idea that it's counterproductive to society that they think we have these baby farms where we're aborting children and taking and that's just not true at all. We do use what are called allogenic cells or donor cells, and they come from a successful birth, meaning that mama and baby have to be okay. And then the mother donates the cord and placenta to us, which we then test extensively, send it out to a third party to test. And once we agree that the material is good, then it comes in and to our lab, and then it's grown into an army to be, injected into folks and to help them to try to recover from whatever they have. But to answer your question directly, when you look, all you have to do is look at the board of the FDA, right? They're all big pharma executives. That's, big pharma controls, the medical narrative in the U.S.
I caught your interview with Todd Herman, and you went into detail on how Big Pharma is running the show, but you're in your own little bubble here, treating patients differently, and your clients include a lot of athletes, specifically a number of golfers, including current members of the Champions Tour. Last year, you had Gary Hallberg and Esteban Toledo on hand for a clinic. Esteban was great. What a character. Let's watch some of that.
The finish is the one, it's very, very important. Lucas is right.
No. Wait a minute. I'm thinking about my right
Gary
foot.
was
Esteban having a great run on the Champions Tour. I see his bag is beside you. He's also a client.
Yeah. We now have 17 Champions Tour players that represent us on tour in one way or another. Many of them, almost all of them, have been treated here at the facility. And we treat a lot of professional athletes, but we also treat a lot of weekend warriors and athletes. Pickleball might single-handedly revolutionize our business, but it's great, right? You have a lot of people playing it. It's a fun game. It's done wonders for weight loss and cardiovascular exercise for people, which is exciting. But they're very competitive, and they tend to find themselves in very precarious situations that they wouldn't probably normally at that age find themselves in. So we have a lot of musculoskeletal calls from people that are involved in that behavior.
This year, the clinic was put on by Fred Funk and Peter Kostis. Kostis, the longtime CBS analyst, has developed some interesting training methods.
happens to my feet and my knees. And I can feel this going right up behind my head. I'm staying centered. I'm rotating, drop and rotate, swing and rotate, drop and rotate. And you learn to get a full golf swing from your feet all the way up to your hands.
What kind of treatment did Peter have, and how successful was it?
Yeah, so Peter obviously has been one of the preeminent announcers in golf for forever. But what a lot of people don't know about Peter is he's probably in the top 10 all-time great teachers in golf as well. And so he's been around the golf business his whole life, and just a lot of wear and tear, the human superstructure. Remember, we were really only supposed to live into our kind of late 40s and then, kind of expire, if you will. But technology's kept us going now for many people into their 80s and 90s and even into the hundreds. And so the human superstructure wasn't meant for that kind of repetitive motion like golf, right? That torquing and competitive motion. And so in Peter's case, it was both of his knees had become just intolerable for him in terms of his ability to hit full golf shots. So he came down, we treated both his knees. He's doing incredibly well. He's back to hitting full golf shots. He says it's a miracle, but it's something that we kind of see every day, right? Those cells that we use, they're called Wharton's jelly derived day zero mesenchymal stem cells, which is a lot to say, but that's what they are. And they're unassigned cells, right? So they're not yet they're not a brain cell, they're not a liver cell, they're not a cardiac cell, they're unassigned. And so when we inject those intra-articularly or right in the joint to where the degeneration has happened, they have two really incredible properties. One is that they're anti-inflammatory in nature, so they take the inflammation down. So most people notice that the pain starts to go away almost immediately. And then they're like, wow, this is incredible. And then it takes about 3 to 6 months before you really start to see the regenerative nature of them, where we have bookend MRIs where there's more cartilage in, more cushion, if you will, in the knees when there were before. And that, in Peter's case, that's true as well.
Wow, that really is a miracle, isn't it?
It is. It is. A lot of people don't talk about it. John Huston's a good example of that, right? John was a Champions Tour player, great player on the PGA Tour, and a great player on the Champions Tour. Came to us. We did his L4, L5 lower lumbar area. For golfers, it's generally the lumbar from the torque, or it's that front hand and wrist hitting the ground first. And actually, Golf Digest did a story about this, that he, after his treatment with us, he went off on the Champions Tour and ran off 5 straight top 10 finishes, where he was, John was always really long he was what they would call sneaky long, because in stature, he's not very tall. But he generates a tremendous amount of clubhead speed. And he's now kind of regained a lot of that length.
And of course, Fred, like John Huston, had a lot of success later in his career. We asked him why.
It was a belief in myself more than anything else, and a comfort level that I got to where I expected to play well. I had a game that I could play well with, and I learned that my method was good enough to post really good scores and compete out there.
Yep, different athletes tend to peak at different stages of their career, don't they? It might all come together later.
Yeah, it's amazing. You take a player like Brant Jobe, right? So Brant Jobe wins a few times on the PGA Tour, gets on the Champions Tour, and really does well, right? So I think it all just depends. Alex Chayka is another great example of that. Last year's, Senior British Open champion, has had a really great career on the Champions Tour.
Here's what Fred had to say after his treatment here at Renue Medical Center.
It's just a comfortable place to come to better your well-being. And I experienced that actually when I look back at what I did the first time down, because I've had major back issues, and I was coming down here for stem cells, an overall infusion for my whole body, and then a direct shot where they actually knocked me out, put me out, and injected my back with stem cells right in the bottom 3 levels that are really messed up, to say the least. And they said you should start feeling better in about 3 months. And I think I had it done last March, and I remember it was one of those days I was playing. I was one of those weeks, I always wake up and I'm really sore, and a couple days went by and I just kind of realized, hey, I'm not quite as sore as I was before, and I felt freer, and my golf swing started feeling better, and I was able to hit more balls, and I wasn't achy and sore like I was before.
Okay, so tell us about Fred's procedure. What were the keys?
Yeah, Fred is a really wonderful guy. He's had a great career on the PGA Tour as well as on the Champions Tour. He won the Players Championship, the 5th major, if you will. So again, another guy who kind of peaked a little bit later in his career, then won 3 majors on the Champions Tour. So with Fred, we started off again L4-5, S1, lumbar. Obviously, had a lot of pain in his lower lumbar. And then wrists and hands are really kind of Fred's nemesis, if you will. So we've treated all of them. And I think if he was here today, he'd tell you that he's still playing because we were able to, help him, work through these myriad of issues as you get. Those guys, think about it. They're hitting 200-300 balls a day in and day out. And Fred is one of those guys that's a grinder. You got to give it up for him. It's harder for me to keep Fred off the golf course and out of the range, just so he has enough time to convalesce and really, come back to his peak performance. But we're really excited about Fred this year. We think he's going to do some great things. We're his title sponsor for 2024, so he'll carry the Renue bag along with Folds of Honor will be his other sponsor. But we're excited about Fred this year. We think he's going to do great things.
Yeah, nobody's got anything bad to say about Fred.
No, he's a wonderful person.
What other sports-related work has Renue done? Are there other athletes?
We do a lot of NFL work. Unfortunately, via their contracts, we're not able to use their images or to disclose the work that we do with them. But lots of, kind of inflammation-related things. We do a lot of work around this idea of when people tear their rotator cuff and it's too far gone for us to with stem cells to correct it. It has to be manually corrected. Then we bring them down about somewhere between 8 and 14 days after the surgery, and we'll inject stem cells at the site of the repair in an effort to take down the inflammation and to help that repair be stronger and be a more solid fix. We do a lot of that work with athletes, especially when they're kind of on IR and they're baseball, Major League Baseball players, NBA players. We've seen them all. And in addition to that, we do a lot of work with in the ice skating world as well, which is interesting. That coming down on those knees is over a very long period of time is a very difficult proposition.
Yeah, you start when you're 10 years old and keep jumping well into your 30s. I can see that creating some problems.
Yeah, so it just really depends on the situation, right? Everybody's just a little bit differently. Here's what we have found, though. We found that people have traded their health for wealth their whole lifetime. And then what we find is that when people start to gather resources, they go the other way as fast as they can by investing in their health. And I think that's one of the things that we really do well is this is really what healthcare was supposed to look like, right? So it's not a situation where you come here and you sit in the lobby for 30 minutes and nobody talks to you past your appointment time. And then they all of a sudden come and get you and they take you into a room and you sit by yourself for 15 minutes. And then the physician comes in and maybe spends 3 or 4 minutes and then moves on to the next patient because their economic proposition is more patients, more money for them. That's not what it's like here at all. This is very organized. It's a kind of a VIP experience and people come and they get treated. And yeah, so let's give you kind of some ideas around what things cost. So if we're talking about a knee or a hip or a shoulder, our average patient is with us 5 days. So they're not here checked into the hospital, right? They're in a beach hotel, beautiful location, having a wellcation, as we call it. And so if we shot somebody's knee or hip or shoulder, probably by the time you add up all the costs of everything, you're talking about roughly $5,000 to do that. And of course, it staves off that opportunity to have to go have surgery and that sort of thing, and which is really a dicey proposition these days.
Yeah, because more intrusive surgery has been the way for years.
Yeah, no, and I think it's positive, right? We really work hard to position the body to heal itself. And the body has incredible healing capability. It just has to be positioned properly to do that. And that's really what it takes the whole week for us is that we do a lot of complementary treatments along the way. A lot of hyperbaric oxygen treatments are really important to us. We do a lot of IV infusions with NAD plus and some vitamin infusions as well, trying to kind of prepare the body to do the stem cell graft as it comes in. And so that takes us about 5 or 6 days to make that happen. And, people are here, call it 90 minutes to 2 hours a day. And then the rest of the time they're out on the beach or in the pool or on a fishing boat or playing golf or doing whatever whatever they wanted to do for vacation.
I guess the other option in Canada is to wait 6, 8, 10 months and to wait another 10 months to a year for surgery. That's a long wait for somebody in pain.
Yeah, that's the thing that's most amazing with our Canadian, because we do a lot of work with Canadians, and they're just shocked and amazed that they come on the day that they get here. That afternoon, they're laying in an MRI machine, getting an MRI, and the day after that, the orthopedic surgeon is there with them doing the intra-articular injection in their knee, and the day after that, they're with an endocrinologist to talk about their hormones to make sure that they're optimized. They're just kind of shocked and surprised that those resources are available at the speed under which they're available. And that's just part of what we do.
So people are coming here, they're getting stronger, feeling better, looking better, and they get a nice wellcation. I don't see the downside.
Yeah, no, it's great. And we love our patients. They're like family. We treat some very serious situations. We treat a lot of traumatic brain injury, a lot of stroke recovery. We treat some really serious situations, but we do a lot of musculoskeletal work, and we also do a lot of aesthetic work. Aesthetics is one place where stem cells has really advanced dramatically. And that kind of face and décolletage area for ladies has been a real boon for their looks and the way that they feel about themselves. So we do some really fun stuff, and then we do some really serious work as well. So
okay, so the question I ask all my guests: what's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. I would say from my mother.
Yeah.
And she always said to me, tomorrow is the first day of the rest of your life. And I think what she meant by that was, no matter how bad it is, or no matter how upset you are, or how disappointed you are, when you wake up the next day, it's an opportunity to take the world by storm. So
This too shall pass.
this too shall pass. That's right. That's right. That's great.
Steve, thanks for doing this. Congratulations and continued success. Discover the secret to timeless vitality at Renue Medical Center in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Our specialists unravel the science of aging, tailoring plans to defy its effects. Experience cutting-edge regenerative therapies such as stem cells and exosomes, addressing aging at its core.
It's a wonderful spot, and I highly recommend it for whatever you may need, whether you just want to feel better, you want to look better, have basically a quality of life, just to ramp it up a little bit as we age.
Liberate yourself from aging-related concerns, where accountability, technology, and passion for regenerative medicine converge. Begin your path to peak health and wellness with us. Schedule your appointment today at renewpv.com and elevate your quality of life. Rely on Walton Restoration's 40-plus years of excellence in residential and commercial restoration. Their strong reputation is built on workmanship, professionalism, and outstanding customer service. Trust Walton as your dependable partner in emergencies, serving Durham, Kawartha, and Northumberland regions. Call 905-725-5666 or visit waltonrestoration.com. Experience top-tier workmanship and service. Walton Restoration, the trusted name in property restoration. Join satisfied customers like me. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca.
When you're injured in an accident, you may be entitled to multiple benefits. Entitlement to these benefits are based on your insurance policy. On a basic policy, you will have eligibility for income replacement benefit, non-earner benefit, attendant care, and medical rehabilitation benefits. It is very important to have a detailed discussion with your insurance broker or agent when obtaining a new policy or renewing your existing policy. Call us now for a comprehensive review of your claim and your policy limits. You do not pay us until we settle your case.
Call Nathan today at 416-289-1236 or visit alliedlegal.ca. And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian and local sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast, as well as the Spanglish Network, Buzz TV Live, and Zingo TV. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows and clips are on there. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. Thanks once again to Steve Anderson for being in the program. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. Let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, Their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit sleepyhollowcountryclub.com. Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Number 1 on our list is the Great Pyramid of Giza. Standing before the massive structure, I couldn't help but imagine what life was like for the ancient Egyptians who built it, and how they managed to construct such a remarkable feat without modern technology. We rode a camel and felt like we were transported back into time to ancient Egypt. And of course, we snapped some photos with the Sphinx as well. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through Trip Oppo. Call them today. Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.